I just got a live stream thing.
I do too.
Good evening. Apologies on being late. I'd say once every 50 times we do one of these, we have something like this where it doesn't push to YouTube immediately. And thank you, those of you in the chat with the patience that stuck around. And yeah, sincere apologies for starting late, but yeah, several different tries on several computers, and here we are now. So up and running, and thanks for sticking around with us. And I see in the chat folks joining from all over. A couple folks jumping in from Hawaii, Colorado, Texas, all around Arizona. Ooh, we got Long Island, New York, my home state of Minnesota, Stillwater, Minnesota. I recognize that town. I do know where that is. So super excited, yeah, again, to have you joining us here tonight, and thanks again for your patience. So we've got several questions that were submitted ahead of time, so we're definitely going to jump into those, and we do have a special guest as well too tonight joining us. So for those of you that I haven't met throughout the summer yet, I'll start by introducing myself. My name is Chad Eickhoff, and I serve as Chief Enrollment Strategist here at Northern Arizona University, and yeah, work in the Division of Enrollment Management. I've been at NAU now for over 14 years in a variety of different roles, and absolutely love Flagstaff and NAU, and love the work that we do helping students and families transition to their time here at NAU. And I'll throw it over to Danny to introduce herself.
Great, thanks so much, Chad, and so nice to be with you all this evening. As Chad mentioned, my name is Danny Donaldson. I work as the Director of University Admissions here at NAU. I am a two-time NAU alumna and a third-generation Flagstaff local. So both NAU and Flagstaff are communities that I am proud to call home. And as mentioned by Chad, we do have a special guest joining us. And so Carly, I'll pass it to you to do a quick introduction as well.
Awesome. Thanks, Danny. My name is Carly. I work in our career development office here at NAU. I specifically work within our student employment division. So we'll be able to chat with you about how you can get your lumberjack in on campus with some jobs and some opportunities to help them during their time here with resumes and cover letters and preparing for their future. I also attended NAU for my bachelor's degree and found my way back here in the last year. So I'm happy to be here with you and super excited to chat about all of the opportunities that career development has for you and your students.
Cool. Awesome. So to kind of give you the lay of the land and the order that we're going to tackle some questions here, those pre-submitted questions always are really helpful. So thanks for sending those our way. Kind of categorize them into a few different categories that we plan to tackle here first, being, I guess, first financial questions, then some kind of housing move-in questions, Jack's card, transportation, and kind of what I'm considering other questions, I guess, as well. And then obviously we're going to talk about career development too. We've got Carly joining us here tonight. So we'll jump right in with that financial question that came in ahead of time. And Danny, I'm going to throw this to you. If a student declines their loans, can they adjust that later and end up taking some of those loans if they find they need to later?
Yeah, that was a really good question. I was glad to see that come in because certainly as students, family members are coming up with a plan to cover the cost of attendance here at NAU, you might have made a decision back a couple of months ago and then are reevaluating and wanting to know what your options are. So if your student has already gone through and declined some of the loan opportunities that were previously available to them in their Louis account, I know we talk about the Louis account frequently in our parent chat and forecast from Flagstaff's, but having your student go back in there, checking to see where their loan status is, and then reaching out to our Office of Scholarships and Financial Aid. So that does require a conversation with their representative so that they can put those loans back into your student's financial aid package. But students essentially have access to those loans throughout the academic year. Certainly the sooner you know that you need those opportunities, the better. So I encourage you to reach out if this is you And then, of course, you also have access still to a few private donor scholarships that are out there. So on the Office of Scholarships and Financial Aid website, as you're going through and looking at the various scholarship types, they keep a spreadsheet up to date. Thank you. Let me see if I can pull it up here quickly. But they do keep an up-to-date Google spreadsheet that's updated every couple of weeks. So just a quick Google search here is going to, oh, I can't share my screen, Chad.
I suppose we'll let you have that ability.
All right, fine. All right, let's take a look here. So as you are doing that quick Google searching, it's going to just take you to our Office of Scholarships and Financial Aid website, private donor scholarships, and then there is a hyperlink here that you can click on. As you can see, it was updated today. And so these are scholarships that your student can still apply for that would be applied towards their first year or this upcoming fall semester here at NAU. So what's really helpful about this list is that it does have the various requirements as well as the amount and upcoming deadlines as well. So plenty of resources out there for you and your student to explore while still planning for that cost of attendance.
Great, thanks, Danny. I'm going to jump into answering some housing questions now, and I think probably the best way to do that first is to start by sharing the move-in page, nau.edu/move-in. With or without the hyphen, it'll get you there. And this is a look at the schedule for move-in. Now, to kind of, a lot of the questions that came in ahead of time were, when does my student get to choose their move-in time and what does that look like? And I did talk with our campus living office on campus today to get the latest timelines on that. And they said within the next week, your student will get an email to their NAU email. So always a good reminder, make sure your student's checking their NAU email address now. And with that email that comes in the next week, they will be assigned the time then when they get to choose their move-in appointment and can start choosing those. And really the selection of the move-in times will be in early August is when they're going to have the opportunity to go in and choose that. Now, a common follow-up question whenever I talk about this is, but hey, we're from out of state. We can't wait until early August to buy our flights and figure out how we're getting there. It is a safe assumption that whichever of these move-in days, the 25th, 26th, 27th, 28th, you as a family choose upon, that you will be able to get that date. It might be a difference in time where instead of a 10 a.m. appointment, you're choosing an 11 a.m. because 10 a.m. is full, but you will be able to move in on the date of your choice. So don't hesitate planning travel in terms of flights and hotels and all of that you might be deciding on as a family. But the actual selection of that move-in time, early August, again, is when that's going to happen. But within the next week, your student should be receiving an email that gives them that specific time that they're able to go in and choose that. Surprisingly, I didn't get a lot of questions about what to bring and different things along that line. That's pretty typical questions. Maybe we've covered that enough throughout the summer, but just want to remind you of all the resources here on this move-in page about preparing to move to campus, what to pack, all of those types of great advice pieces for your student. Another question that came in actually was the most common question to come in for this week was, how do I know my student's address? Which is a great question, because if you want to send a care package or a letter or anything like that, certainly you'll want to learn that address. And the folks at Campus Living let me know that in early August, that address will be displayed then within their housing portal. So that housing portal is the spot where your student would have went to apply for housing, to do room selection, to choose a roommate, or they'll choose their move-in time. And now also it will be a spot that they can go and find out what their address is here on campus. The folks at Campus Living did want me to let you know, though, do not plan on using that address to ship a bunch of stuff here for move-in. They would prefer that. A great option is there's Targets, Walmarts, and those types of things here in town where you could do store pickup and things along those lines would really help us out as opposed to shipping it to the actual residence hall ahead of time. And really, they don't typically accept a package for a student prior to them moving in. So after they've moved in, then certainly you're sending those care packages, other packages, they would accept it, but not really a great, I guess, solution for the move-in piece, or they are asking that you avoid that piece. If your student has not yet heard about a room selection or a room assignment, that is something that's still coming on a rolling basis. I know those that met the priority housing date pre-May 15th, most of them should have had a room assignment at this point in time, but they continue to go kind of rolling from that date and assigning rooms as kind of based on time of housing application. So folks that applied later for housing may not have a room assignment yet, but don't be worried. They will be getting a room assignment if they have already submitted a housing application. So more to come on that. Obviously, your students should be paying attention to that NAU email address for any important communications around housing. So I think that hit all the kind of main housing questions that had come in ahead of time. Certainly continue to ask clarifiers in the chat, and thanks for the admissions team that's in there helping monitor the chat and answering questions there. I'm going to throw a question that kind of came in the other bucket around, is there a parents' day or anything like that? Danny, can you chat through that?
Yeah, I mean, especially as you're planning to move your student in and you're thinking about, I don't know, maybe your time in college or learning a little bit more about your students' time here at NAU. Of course, we always welcome families to come and join us for Family Weekend. So on our Office of the Dean of Students website, and hopefully my screen is sharing here, we've got Family Weekend planned for October 7th through the 9th. So a couple of things that you can see coming soon on that website include the booklet that's going to detail all of the various events that you and your student can take on during the weekend. You can purchase tickets for things like our casino night. There will be a barbecue and brunch option. And then of course, encourage you and your student to come out and do some tailgating as the NAU Lumberjacks take on Cal Poly. So a lot of information will be pushed through this website for information, and would encourage you as well, if you're not already signed up, to consider signing up for the Backpack e-newsletter. So lots of good information coming out to the support systems of our Lumberjacks through that newsletter as well. And hope you can make it out.
Cool. Next question had to do around Jax Card, just kind of an overview of that. So I will share the Jax Card website. nau.edu/jaxcard, and lots of great information here. Regardless of if your student ends up using a digital credential or a hard copy, traditional old school plastic card like myself, they do need to submit a photo, and you can see the information or the spot to click to be able to submit that photo. So that's the big action item they need to take. If your student is an Apple user and would like to do the digital credential on an iPhone or Apple Watch, they are able to start credentialing those now. So if that's a choice that they want to make there, it is one or the other. You can't have both the physical card and the credential on your phone. And really that is for security purposes. We don't want two IDs around and they might lose track of their plastic card because they always use their digital one. And obviously for security here on campus, we don't want another credential floating around. So as far as Android users, I will just say stay tuned. More to come this summer for our Android users, and look for some additional communications around that to come out. For students opting for that physical card, pickup is going to be at the Union, right in the center of campus on the west lawn of the Union. So in the direction of the library. They're going to have the option there for students to pick up the physical card if that's the route they went. If they need help credentialing that digital credential, they'll be able to assist with that there as well, although they can totally do that on their own prior to coming to campus, that digital credential piece there. So that's kind of an overview of the JAX card piece and the pickup of those and credentialing of those. Students will use that for all sorts of things. So it's definitely a necessity in terms of getting in and out of residence halls, for meal plans, getting into athletic events. So definitely a useful tool here on campus. And that's just the tip of the iceberg. There's a lot of other things that a student would utilize their JAX card for. I think the next category, transportation. And surprisingly, we didn't get any car questions ahead of time, although probably a good thing to talk about. The questions pre-submitted were all about bikes and parking of bikes and what that looks like. So I'll throw that to you, Danny.
Yeah, certainly. So, I mean, growing up here in Flagstaff, having attended NAU, I would definitely say that a car is, not something that is necessary. But if you do bring your car to campus, make sure you're asking those friends for gas money, especially in this economy. But that being said, I think having a bike on campus is one of the easiest ways to get around. NAU is a bike-friendly university. I think we've got a gold rating there. So really easy to get around. If your student is planning on bringing their own bike, they do have a couple of options for storage. Certainly, encourage students to consider purchasing a U-Lock. There are plenty of bike racks across campus. And then students also have the option, because we do get about 80 inches of snowfall here in Flagstaff. So in terms of making sure that you are taking care of your personal property, students have the option of renting either a bike locker. Those bike lockers are going to be closer to the residence halls where your students may be residing, or they can store them in a bike enclosure, which is a designated area within our parking garages on campus, where students have access using their JAX card actually to get in and out of that space. If your student is interested in either of those two options in terms of storing their bikes, they can go to our University Transit Services website. From there, they can register their bike to our campus community if they are brand new, and then go ahead and fill out the bike locker or enclosure agreement. Now, there is a cost associated. The bike enclosures for the year are $40, and then the bike locker, which is that individual space, I've actually got a picture pulled up here just so that you can get kind of an idea of what that looks like. But those bike lockers, because they are just rented to one student, are $75. So something to think about as you are making decisions. I know that you want to make sure that your student is going to be using their bike also. And so one of the things that I recommend for incoming students is to consider the Yellow Bike program. So students can check out those bikes, very similar to the way that you would check out a library book. You've got access to the bike and a lock. And then you can really kind of take note of how frequently am I using this? Did I forget that I even checked out the bike? Take all of those things into consideration before spending some money on a mountain bike to get you around campus. So there's the bikes. We're a pedestrian friendly campus as well here at NAU. Lots of students walking around. Rollerblades have been making a comeback, which I think is really interesting, as well as Razor scooters and electric scooters as well. So students kind of just cruising around. We do also have the shuttle system for getting around campus. So buses that are staying on our campus community that your student can hop on for free. And then, thinking about accessing the local Flagstaff community, we do have a partnership with this Flagstaff Mountain Line, where Route 10 comes through our campus community. That will take your students down into the downtown area, but also just south of campus, where there's a shopping complex, a couple of restaurants. So really easy to get into the city of Flagstaff as well, even if you're not bringing a car. So lots of options there. So yeah, Chad, I'll throw it back to you. To introduce.
I've been watching the YouTube chat as we were
Watching
talking
the chat,
transportation. Follow-up question of, When do parking permits become available? August 1st.
August 1st, yep.
NAU.edu/parking is where your student can go to purchase that. And it's by license plate is how they operate here. So they don't actually need a physical permit coming to them unless they're in a garage, I guess, then they do, I believe, still operate on physical permits, but all of the surface lots around campus are by license plate. So one thing to kind of train your student up on or remind them of is to make sure that their license plate is facing the drive aisle. And they do, if you're like us in Arizona, those of you from out of state, we do not have a required license plate on the front of a vehicle. They do have the option to get a NAU license plate for the front should your student want to be backing into parking spots. But certainly if they pull forward and their license plate is showing, they're good to go as well. And then there were some other follow-up questions there too about getting to and from Sky Harbor Airport in Phoenix. And I think in the chat, they dropped a couple options. There are some private companies, Groom Transportation, and then Flixbus, I believe as well, operates to the Phoenix airport for students trying to get to and from there. And we do have a regional airport here in Flagstaff too. So always worth checking if it makes sense for your student to fly in and out of Flagstaff. So I think that hit a lot of the transportation stuff. And I see them, Cammie's follow up on if the Flagstaff Mountain Bus line is free, the one that cuts through campus, students are able to utilize that one for free.
Yeah. Perfect.
Cool. So I think, and certainly continue to have questions coming in the chat and we'll keep an eye on these. But you've been so patient, Carly, just like everyone else was patient for our later start tonight. And again, apologies for that. Carly, I want to throw it over to you to talk job opportunities, career development, all of the things.
Awesome. Yeah, no, so happy to be here. And I learned a bunch of new things too. So this is great. So like I mentioned, I am in here representing our NAU Career Development Office. We are located in the Union, right down the hall from the Jack's Card office that Chad mentioned. And so we're pretty centrally located. And a couple of the things I wanted to talk to you all about is all of the different things that our office does for our lumberjacks, as well as some events that are coming up that may be prime for you all and your students that are job fairs. So I'm going to share my screen. Hopefully my technology works. And okay, so hopefully you're able to see the main career development page. So this is our just honestly nau.edu/career takes you right here. So super easy. And what this has is this is our landing page for basically everything. And so we support students day 0 before day 1. And we're able to help with the typical things that you could imagine, right? Like a resume, a cover letter, folks that are working on campus, if they're applying for student positions on campus, most of the time those jobs are going to require a resume at the very least, and may also require a cover letter. So we can support your students in writing and creating those, updating them if they have them from experiences that they've had prior to coming to NAU. And so that is something that is pretty typical of a career development office. Some other things that we do is we also can support with the actual interview. We can do mock interviews with your students. If your students are coming to NAU as an exploratory major, we can also help them do some career exploration and see and help them think about the major that they're choosing as more than just a major. We know here in career development that a major doesn't always equal a job, right? Like if you're majoring in communications, that doesn't mean your job title is going to be communicator. There's so many options that exist within major fields. And so we can really, really support your students in seeing what that means and seeing what one major that they choose here and what the coursework that they accomplish here can lead them to in the bigger picture, which can be really helpful when they then go to talk to their academic advisor about the major options that they have. So when we're thinking about appointments that we offer with our students, everything is done through a platform that we utilize called Handshake. And your students automatically, by being admitted to NAU, have a Handshake account. Their credentials to log in are the same credentials that they use to log into their LUI, to log into any other NAU related website platform. And so there's also an app that they can get to have it right on their phone, which we always encourage because we know that most of the time we're going to have our phones, right? So the little two people shaking hands, that is the logo for Handshake. And so that's what the app would look like for your students to download. And this is where appointments are created. So students can go in and select, I want to talk to someone in career development about career exploration, or I want to find an on-campus job, or I don't know how to look in Handshake and I want to learn about Handshake. We can do all of those things. And so students can go right through the Handshake platform or on our homepage, schedule an appointment. We'll prompt them to go and just sign into Handshake and then get the options of appointment availability and what the specific appointment type would be. A really important thing that students consider as they're coming onto campus and families and parents consider is jobs. A lot of students work while they go to school, or they navigate, should I work while I go to school? When should I start working? There's no right or wrong answer to that question. So it's really going to be based off of the student specifically. We have a lot of students that come right on campus day one and they are working while they are going to school. They're able to balance that because they're doing it from the very beginning. And then there are other students that will maybe wait until the spring or the next year and have some time at NAU under their belt, have some time to solidify the clubs they want to be a part of and all of those aspects. And so all of those things are considerations. And like I said, there's no right or wrong answer to that. We offer on-campus employment across over 150 departments on our campus. We have over 3,000 positions that students fill. So NAU would not function without the students working here. Our office has student employees and they're so valuable. And so we want to encourage that if the students are in a space where they're able or they need to work. And we offer 2 different job fairs leading into the fall semester. And so I'm going to show you, once your student logs into Handshake, what that looks like. They can find these job fairs 2 different ways. The first would be right through Handshake. So this is what Handshake looks like from the student view. And they are logged in. They have a cute little tagline. The best way to get noticed by employment is to reach out with a handshake. So kind of cute marketing there. Up on the top, there's jobs, which is where your students would be able to filter all of the jobs, not only on campus, but in the area. Our office, we validate employers that we have partnerships with, and we make sure that they are legitimate, that your students will actually get a paycheck, all those kinds of things. So you know that if jobs are posted in Handshake, then they are legitimate and they have been kind of stamped by our office. And so they may be local in the area, or they may be right on campus. So that's where the jobs live. All the job descriptions, they can apply by literally posting or selecting apply and submitting their resume. Once they've met with us, or if they already have an updated resume, they can link that to their account. So when they click the apply button, they don't have to do anything extra. So that makes it nice and easy and streamlined. But as you can see, this is one of the jobs that are open right now. It'll say when it was posted. Our salary actually, or our lowest paid wage on campus has actually just increased to $14.50, which is take home going to be essentially comparable to students working off campus with the Flagstaff minimum wage of $15.50, because students that work on campus don't pay the same taxes as those that work off campus. So that's something to consider as well. If you're thinking of the dollar difference or kind of what that take home would look like, it's going to be essentially the same. So that's something to consider as well. So this is kind of what the job platforms look like. Events is where I really want to show you our 2 different job fairs that we're going to have. So students can apply for jobs individually, like I showed you. They can also come and participate in our job fair, where we bring the employers to the students, and they're able to meet one-on-one with different employers within the Flagstaff community and on campus. We're going to have a virtual fair through Handshake as a platform. It's going to be very similar to if they're on Zoom. It's just video. And that's going to be July 28th from 1 to 4. And so that registration is open right now. It's free for students to participate. And so what will happen is they'll go right here, they'll click on the job fair, they'll see all of the employers kind of in real time as they are registering themselves. So they'll see, oh, that's an office that I'm interested in, or they can do some research and see what the job would be, prepare for it, and they'll click register. They'll build their schedule because it's a virtual fair. They'll get to have either one-on-one conversations for 15 minutes with employers, or they'll be able to participate in a group based on what the employer sets up. The groups are beneficial because they can learn all about the department, the job, specifically what the employer is looking for. The one-on-ones are also helpful because that gives them a point of contact. They can ask and answer questions in that moment. Sometimes employers even consider those one-on-ones as kind of like a pre-screening. So when the students apply for the jobs, they'll remember their name because they participated in either a group or a one-on-one conversation during the job fair. So this fair is going to be next Thursday, so July 28th from 1 to 4, and that's our time here in Arizona. And so registration will be open until the day of the fair. So urge your students to register for that. They can participate from the comfort of wherever location they are. This is also really helpful for students that are statewide because we'll have employers able to participate statewide as well. Our second fair that we're offering in the fall is going to be in person. And so this is going to be a true, everybody has a table out and you get to walk down the aisles and talk to people and ask questions and people have fun free stuff. And this is going to be the Friday of Welcome Week. And so I'm going to pull that one up to show you as well on August 26th. So what I did is I just expanded all of the options here in Handshake, and our other part-time job fair for Welcome Week is right there. And then as employers, again, continue to register, they'll be able to see, the students will be able to see who's going to be there. They can do some research. They can see what the job is because all of the employers that are participating have active jobs in Handshake. They can see, so when they come that day, they can walk around and talk to whoever kind of sparks their fancy in the moment, or they can know exactly who they want to talk to by doing some research ahead of time. Our office is here to support with any Handshake support, troubleshooting. If there's any problems with registration, students can reach out to NAU, the NAU career email, so NAUcareer at NAU.edu, or student employment at NAU.edu. Those are two direct emails addresses right to our office. So they'll get support in real time and be able to, even it sometimes we'll have students make phone appointments and we'll walk them through registration in real time so that they are all set up and prepared. Again, this is the Friday of move-in. This is also going to be right before the club fair on campus. So your students can come, they can see their jobs, get a job, and then go and see what clubs and organizations they want to be a part of. So they can dive right in and be immersed in the NAU community on day one. So those are some pieces from our office. And yeah, I'll see if there were, I guess, any questions in the chat.
I don't think anything popped in the chat for you that you didn't answer with what you shared there in terms of just finding jobs on campus. And
awesome.
that was really helpful overview.
Perfect. I also realized I forgot to mention our office does support with internships as well. So sometimes students will come in and they'll start hearing about internships and kind of like, how do I get an internship? What does that mean? Do I have to choose to work on campus or have an internship? And so just to kind of put that plug in, we highly encourage paid internships. Those internships can exist with partnering companies that would be like major specific. So if your student is coming in and exploring engineering as their major, they could work with somebody that is engineering, as well as some internships on campus as well. Some programs kind of have them embedded in their degree, and some would be in addition to. And so if your students are navigating which should I do, there are internships that would be at a job fair as well. Some folks may be hiring for interns, And so have them consider that. And our office has an internship coordinator as a full-time role. So your student can make an appointment and explore what an internship is. What does that mean? When should I pay attention to that in my degree plan? And how do I go about getting those? So we're here to support with that as well.
Awesome. There was a clarifying question around minimum wage on campus now. I believe you said $14.50.
Yes. So $14.50 as of July 1st is our lowest paid wage. And so that will be, if the jobs were posted in Handshake prior to July 1st, they may read the previous lowest paid wage of $12.15, but any job now is no less than $14.50 an hour. And they're 10 to 20 hours usually is the what a part-time job is considered. I think I forgot to mention that.
Perfect. Yeah, that's great. Just keeping an eye on the chat here. There's a couple other things I wanted to, based on some questions that came in kind of before you started talking, that I want to pivot back to around advising and class schedules. So I'm going to share Gateway's webpage, nau.edu/gateway, they do all of our first year advising, and they've got really kind of this 3-step process laid out to students. Completing priority enrollment being that first step, and then the advising module. If your student, if their specific advisors time is not available soon enough and they want to meet with somebody sooner, would really recommend these drop-in times, the Zoom drop-in times, to be able to get quick questions answered. They also can sign up for an advising appointment with another advisor that they see available, not the one that's assigned to them, and that's totally fine. And when I spoke with our advising team earlier today, they did say that they continue to add additional appointments as appointments fill up. So into the month of August, more appointments continue to be added there. And also just want to say, if your student is on a wait list for a class, that's a normal thing, that is part of the process. And with the wait list, it does help us assess where we need to add additional capacity and seats. So totally normal for a student to be on a wait list at this point in time, and advising teams will help them get into either that class or a comparable class to it. So just wanted to kind of normalize that and let you know that that is a normal thing that your student may experience, being in some wait list classes at the moment, and we'll get a completed schedule. Really the goal to have all that full build out pieces by the time disbursement and financial aid and all that part's happening. So they certainly know the importance of getting it done at that point before then. And I wanted to also just draw attention to some additional resources on the orientation webpage, nau.edu/welcome. And we've got more virtual offerings still throughout the summer, additional parent chat about a month from now, another forecast from Flagstaff, and some other things you can see. If we click into the student version here, you can see the calendar of what's upcoming still. In terms of opportunities for students to connect virtually. If you think your student would benefit from connecting with another real life current student, would encourage them to join in on those Instagram takeovers and being able to connect and ask questions to a student there. I would also like to draw attention, I've kind of throughout the summer been pointing out this calendar, but up top, if you scroll up to the top of this, there is an online orientation module that a student can complete. And there's the link right there to click into that. I believe if we went through the parent option, you'd have a parent option you could click into as well, and would really encourage students, especially those that didn't attend an in-person orientation, although all students would benefit from going through these modules, to click in there and go through that. And it kind of gives a good overview of all kinds of things and a lot of the kind of standard questions that we know a lot of students and parents would have. So would really encourage them to take the time. It's a work at your own pace kind of thing to go through those modules. So just wanted to give a nod towards that online orientation piece for students to explore and really get as much, in some ways, maybe more comprehensive overview than they would have in person, diving into each of these different sections. So really encourage students and families to check that out. So
Chad, you did bring up a
taking-
couple of
Yeah.
things that made me just think of, when does disbursement happen? That's typically about 10 days before the semester starts, that any of the scholarships your student has received, any of the loan options that your student is tapping into, all of those will hit their account typically about 10 days before the semester starts. So semester starts on August 29th, which means around August 19th, August 20th is when you'll start to see those funds applied to your student's account. And then as your student is getting their schedule built out, I think I saw another question come in the chat regarding, when is finals? Is the final schedule already posted? And to answer your question, yes, it is. So some of those important dates as you're planning ahead for your students' time here at NAU are all accessible on our Office of the Registrar website. So nau.edu/registrar. From there, you can go straight into the important dates and deadlines. But because we are receiving those questions so frequently, scrolling down to the bottom of that page, there is the fall of 22 final exam schedule. So especially as you're planning for the end of the semester, already looking forward, your student hasn't left yet, but you're looking forward to them coming back. You can use that to help inform some of those travel plans. So saw those questions in there, and as you were chatting, Chad, I was like, oh yeah, this would be good information to share as well. So yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And yeah, I think those of the admissions team, I think we have Abby and Lexi and Fred monitoring the chat in there. Thanks for dropping all these links in and answering questions in the feed as we go as well. Always really appreciated. So yeah, I think that does it for tonight. I really appreciate you all being here. And I like to say every time that you showing up here just shows how much you care about your student and their success here at NAU. And those of you that stuck around with our delayed start because of technical difficulties, you all get an extra gold star tonight for being here. So again, thankful to have you joining us, and it's exciting. We're coming up on a month or so out for your students coming here on campus, and I know I can feel the excitement on campus as staff prepare for your students' arrival. So excited for it. All righty. Well, take care until we see you, and definitely say hi when you're moving students in. If you recognize us, we'll be out and about walking around campus. So